What's up, y'all? Good morning. Shoot, man. Now I see why they talk about my gray hairs. The iPhone. Oh, these hairs are not even gray. They are white. That's crazy. I'm looking at these hairs and I'm like, on the iPhone, the hairs are more pronounced. Ooh. These are flat out Santa Claus grays. Man. Interesting. I'm so stressed that I didn't even realize these beard hairs were just like flat out a white beard hairs. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Good morning. Welcome to Mindful Reality, the channel that covers reality TV from a mental health perspective. I started doing this thing, let's say 22, 23, 24, 25. 2022, I believe, was the first year that I ever had this channel. And I've been rocking out for about 3 years now. 4 calendar years, but 3 years in total. And this is my 4th season that I have been covering. 22, 23, 24, 25. This is my 4th season. Yeah. So I got up at my traditional time of 3 o'clock in the morning. I turn on the feeds. Sometimes I get nothing. Sometimes I strike gold. Sometimes I get something in the middle. And I would say that I missed a little bit of context, but I still got some tea overnight. This was the tea that I got overnight, right? I was watching the HOH room, and in the HOH room was 4 people: Will, Ashley, Mickey, and Ava. A random collection of 4, which is not necessarily that random, but is that random. I know Will and Ashley have been working together for a minute, and they've tried to make a few groups together. And Ava, I know that is kind of cool with everybody. So she's kind of random, but she's cool with everybody. And Mickey, Mickey has been kind of in that mix. I know Mickey is also making different moves. It's interesting because I feel like Mickey and Ashley are both making moves together, and they're making moves apart from each other. I didn't like this last streamer too much. What in the world does that mean? I don't know what that means, Light Fairy, but I don't have the bandwidth, let's say, to interpret what you mean. I'll just assume it's a troll comment, and you're out of here. Okay, moving on up from there. Yeah, so the 4 of them were in a room, and they were forming a group, or they formed a group called the Core 4, I think. Either the Core or the Core 4. I know Core was in there. I think they said Core 4. I remember William. Why am I calling him William? Well, William is probably his name, but I remember Will saying, "We are the Core 4. We got to stick together. We got to stick to our word. We've got to vote the way that we're supposed to vote, and we got to not turn on each other." Will, I love Will, man. Will's not for the games. Will's got that, like, old man, I ain't got time for this attitude, where he's like, if you say something, say it with your chest, mean it, and follow through. Will is just cut and dry, plain and simple. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. I didn't sit up here until 1 o'clock in the morning for nothing. Will is such a cool guy, and he seems to have such a calming effect on the other house guests. So, and I like that Will now is a part of something instead of just an extra number, because I know that everyone was like, oh, Will said he wants to get sent home, and I was like, I don't think Will is like in a Kenny position like Kenny last year, where he straight up said he wants to go home, vote me, send me home, vote me to go home. And when I spoke to him in person, I was like, he probably didn't mean that. And I was like, Kenny, I just had to ask you a question. He said, what's that? And I was like, there was rumors that you flat out said that you were thinking of quitting the show, and then you said, if you don't vote me out, I'm going to quit anyways. I was like, is there any truth to that? He said, well, at first when I said it, I was kind of pump faking, and the game was just getting to me, whatever. And then he said, after a while, he said, I just underrated how much I was going to miss my family. So yes, I did really want to quit the game, and I don't know what would have happened if I stayed any longer. I don't think that's Will's spot at all. I think Will was just like, Will is a super fan, I think he had said. So I think he knows historically what happens to older players when you have all these people that are 10, 20 years younger than you, and you're trying to like mesh with them, but then you go to bed earlier than them, and then they're in different places in their lives and stuff. So I like that he's starting to get his teeth in the game. I really feel like Will is starting to get his teeth in the game. This core 4 thing is interesting. The reason why I say it's interesting is because as they sat and they're discussing who's next, who do we want next, blah, blah, blah. What do we do if Jimmy comes back? What do we do if Riley comes back? I feel like the core 4 is interesting because they want different things. Ashley and Mickey don't have the same outer people, even though they can sit in a room and be like, oh yeah, I agree about this one, I agree about that one. But no, we see all the conversations to know that they have separate alliances outside of that, which everybody knows, but I feel like they are trying to formulate something together, but it all depends on who wins outside of that group. And if I'm thinking about it, I think that both Mickey and Ashley are on some people's radars. I don't know why Mickey feels so trusting of this Riley thing. They showed them making up in the episode. They showed Riley crying and apologizing. I watched Riley and Mickey yesterday having a conversation on the feeds where they were talking about working together, and Mickey's telling Riley, I want you to come back. And then Mickey's telling Riley, I've gotten to know Catherine and I appreciate the fact that you fought so hard for her not to go on the block. I guess they made some kind of an agreement. This is what I'm gathering. In all his crying and begging, I'm guessing they made some kind of agreement that if somebody wins the power of veto, they're not going to make she's not going to make Catherine the replacement nom. And in exchange for that, he might have agreed that they're going to work together going forward. But I've heard him talking to Catherine and be like, oh, let's just be fake, and the next week we're going to win, and the next week we're going to put them up. I don't know why Riley seems to be such a blind spot for Mickey. It makes no sense. Because if you listen to her other reads on the game, it seems like she has pretty solid, excellent reads on a lot of things happening in the game. But it seems like, for some strange reason, She thinks the guy who she put on the block, who had this temper tantrum and lost his you-know-what on her, and she stole his HOH, she thinks that she has that guy in her back pocket, and she does not. She does not have that man in her back pocket in any kind of a way. I don't think. I think that if he won HOH next week, she'd be up next week. That's what I think. But you know what? There's a beautiful thing about today. I don't know if anyone knows what the beautiful thing about today is for a Big Brother fan. And if you don't know, I'll give you the answer. It is eviction night. It is my favorite day of every Big Brother season. Eviction night. The day when we don't have to hear all the talking and all the scenarios anymore and this and that. You know, we flat out just watch the Blockbuster competition. Unfortunately, because I'm tired of the Blockbuster competition being a thing. But anyways, we watch the Blockbuster competition. After the Blockbuster competition, we get that person comes off the block, and then we get the vote. We get the eviction votes, and then, you know, that person goes home. Now, we don't get the HOH comp until the next day. I think the last week, we got the HOH results like 3:30, about 3:30 in the morning, like about 3:30 Eastern time, something like that. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Me personally, right? Because it seems weirdly like somehow, I don't know if this is just me getting too much of what's her name, Mickey, on the feeds, but it feels like things have shifted towards, if Riley and Kelly were next to each other, that Kelly would go, and that if Riley and Jimmy were next to each other, Jimmy would go. I don't know if something has changed or if Mickey is lying to Riley, but that's what I'm hearing, is that Riley might have the numbers to stay. But what I'm hoping for is definitely for Jimmy to pull himself off. And one of the reasons why I'm hoping for Jimmy to pull himself off is because I like Jimmy being on team Rachel. I'm rooting for Rachel. I think as I'm starting to become that old guy myself, as referenced by the Santa Claus beard that I didn't even know was a Santa Claus beard. She's so crazy. It's so crazy that I have looked. Many times and not realized that these hairs are like white hairs, white beard hairs, not even gray. They aren't even grays. They started as grays and then they turned white, apparently. I gotta look up how that happens. How do gray beard hairs turn white? Snapple facts. The more you know. The more you know. Yeah, so I like Jimmy's affinity with Rachel and Ashley, because this week I was previously saying that I'm all for. One second. I was previously saying that I'm all for the Mickey side, but I have not liked, similarly to many of you, I have not liked the way that Mickey has moved this week. Now, I've intentionally probably been softer on Mickey than other vloggers and other people in general. But I'll be straight up and honest about my reason for not being as hard on her as other people are. I hate when they go after the black woman. That's just plain and simple. If it was just a matter of, hey, I don't think that she did the best gameplay move, or even to say it's a stupid move, I get it. I don't think she has made the best moves. And then this whole thing about her spending all this time strategizing with the enemy. Dumb. But when I see everybody just ganging up on her, piling up on her, even making up rumors. I heard that yesterday people were making up rumors that she made some derogatory comments towards Jimmy, and I heard that Taryn debunked that. Good on Taryn for that, because sometimes when things happen like that, the vloggers who are not in those demographics, they just ignore those things. No biggie. But I'm glad someone stood up and said, no, that didn't happen. Nobody saw anything like that. Keep it gameplay. That's all. You know, I always feel like, is that so hard? Keep it gameplay. Keep it on the gameplay. You know, people are going to all these extra lengths to talk crazy about her and, you know, say certain things that are not game related in my opinion. But just from a gameplay standpoint, Ashley's game, right, it feels less strategic and less calculated. I meant to say, go get your beard done, weird, and buy. I don't know what getting your beard done means, but I didn't care to continue a conversation about it. Anyways, Ashley is now seeming to be against Zach because apparently, I don't know who told her, but somebody is telling her that Zach was talking trash about her and Morgan. Perhaps Will? I don't know. I have it like, because the feeds do not allow me a rewind option, I see what I see and that's it. So whatever I happen to see when I turn my screen on, that's it. You know, I don't see anything more than that. Yeah, baby, I like it like that. Okay. So she seemed to be really pissed about Zach and said that if she won, I think she said something crazy like, if I won next week, I would put up Zach, Vinny, I forgot the third person, but she said that Zach would be her target and Zach has got to go. And I feel like nobody else in that core four felt like Zach has to go right now. I think they all felt like he has to go eventually, but I don't think they felt like he has to go right this moment, and there's some urgency to that. But anyways, yeah, those are my thoughts. I was gonna say Ashley doesn't seem to be the best strategist, and she's a little bit on the emotional side and a little bit on the erratic side. However, I feel like she's smart in ways that people don't realize that she's smart, and I think that it flies under the radar because they consider her kind of ditzy. So, but she's going into all these rooms and she's getting a lot of information. Now, this is the good thing about her friendship with Will, I feel like, because I think that she's not the best at taking that information and deciphering it and figuring out the best moves. Because sometimes she'll come to Will and be like, you know what, Will? This person said this. And because of that, I feel like this. And that's going to make me do this. And he's like, girl, calm it down. Calm it down. Thank you. He's like, calm it down. Calm it down. You know, chill. this is what we need to do with this. So he's the level-headed one, and she's the emotional one. But yeah, we're gonna see what happens. It's Thursday. It's eviction night. I'm excited. I'm gonna be live and direct on eviction night to give y'all all the breakdown and recap, and we're gonna see how this house shifts, not only from whoever it is who gets evicted, which I honestly hope is not Kelly, to tell you the truth. I know that Kelly is the easiest move, but it's the least impactful move out of any move that they could make. That's my thoughts on that. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. And I hope that, and I know that if you have not done so yet, you will liketh, commenteth, and subscribeth to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Thank you all. Have an amazing day.